So welcome to Module 3, Designing a Great Website. So in this module, we're going to cover what makes a great website. We're going to walk through some of the key elements so that if you are looking to design or you have a current website, some of the key things that you want to think about. Specifically, we're going to dive into content and media, what you want to be thinking about to quickly grab your guests' attention quickly and easily, but at the same time, not slow down your website. So let's dive in. So what makes a website great? There's a number of key elements of which we're going to be touching on through this module and the upcoming modules as well. Number one, as we talked about, we want your website to be goal-oriented. What are you wanting this website to achieve, and how does it help your business? You want it to be organized with that site navigation. You want it to be useful and provide content that's going to be valuable. You want it to function well. What are you wanting guests to do, and does it work properly? As well, you want your website to be intuitive on all different types of devices. And then lastly, for many of us, we want to focus on that search-friendly website so that it can be found quickly and easily on Google. So the number one and most important thing that you want to think about with your website is you do not want to make your website a scavenger hunt. I actually see this so often where people create a website and they have their homepage with every single page listed on their website, and it's a mile long, and they're just saying, well, if they land here, visitors can figure out where to go next. If you think about your own experience when you look at websites and you land on something, you want to kind of be handheld. For us as business owners, we spend so much time on our website. We know that if we click this drop down, we click here, we click over here, we do this, it's going to end us up on our desired page. But for somebody that's coming to your website for the very first time, you want it to be intuitive. They should be able to arrive at what it is they're looking for within 3 clicks or less. So that's what you want to be thinking about. I'll give you a quick example. I was doing a workshop with Destination BC a couple of years ago, and there was this really nice gentleman there, and he had his website up and he had everything in there. And we did this exercise where we had people be able to do an audit to say, I'm going to just look at your website and see how it functions. We went through the entire website afterwards and we were looking at it, and we said we couldn't figure out what the call to action was. He had all this really great information. He had no contact page with a phone number or a form or anything. And we found that in the footer of his website, in very small print, was his email address. And that was the only form of contact in his entire website. So he knew that it was there, and he's like, people can access that on any page, but it wasn't intuitive. The person that did the audit, and then myself, when I went and did the review as well, I didn't even pick up that the email address was in the footer, and that's where his main point of contact was. So again, you want to be thinking about making it simple and very intuitive for your guests on where they're wanting to be directed and where you're wanting to direct them as well. And those might be 2 different things, as we'll talk about a little bit more. So the very first thing when you're looking to either redo your website or you're looking to design a website for the first time is you want to think about how it is organized. So this is a really important thing, not only for the user experience, but as well for search. So we have this, what we call a hierarchy, and we do this in a way that we like to call a sitemap, or an AI architect is another word that's sometimes used. So this is an example of a sitemap that was put together where you have your home page. And then on your home page, you have your main navigation, which is tour, cases, examples, customers, etc. And then under cases, you can see there's other sub pages as well. So a really important thing to do is to start to think about, how is your website laid out? How is this going to look? How is it going to be displayed? Where do people click in order to get to certain pages? And how do those pages interact? When you look at something like this as well, the other important thing to notice is that Google will put more weight on the pages that are on that upper level compared to those further down pages. So for example, your home page is always that main first page that majority of people land on. So it is always going to be typically the highest and most performing page on your website. Underneath that, you're going to have your next navigation level, which in this case is our tours, cases, examples, and that line there. That line then becomes our second most important list of pages. Then as you start to get into your collaborate with remote teams, work on product and service design, all of those other sub pages become less important. So the further down the page that you go in this design, you're saying that these pages are less and less important, and that we're really wanting focus to be on that upper navigation. So the layout plays a really big and an important role in telling Google what pages are most important, as well as helping that user experience. So you really want to spend some time to say, how are people going to get to these certain pages? Can I group these pages together, or do I need these pages to sit on their own? Now you might think like, well, every single page is important, so I'm going to put everything at the top level. That's actually going to be a hindrance to you. You want to try and think about, how can I start to make these work better together? So if you have a lot of different products, maybe you decide that you want your packages to sit under one page. Maybe you want certain types of products to sit here and another type of product to sit over here. You want to really think about how you're going to lay this out, because that's going to help with your navigation. And it's also just going to help you that you want to help certain pages rank higher to be able to drive the traffic to them. So in your downloadable PDF, I've put together a couple of examples, as well as I've let you have some white space for you to start to map out and think about how your website is laid out and what that should look like. Now, some common pages that you probably want to have on your website to help you to stay organized are going to be found here. Again, as I mentioned in the earlier module as well here too, simple is always better. Don't feel you need to have a bunch of pages. Sometimes just making it simple is all that you need. You might not need to have 10 pages on your website when 5 will do. Here are the typical pages that people will consider on a website. Number one is you'll need that homepage. That's going to be the main page that people are going to navigate and land on. You're going to want a page about your products or services and a way for people to book or purchase if that's what your business is offering. Typically, you're going to want an about page. A lot of people for the first time will click on that about page to learn about who you are, learn about the business. Having that contact page. So again, if you're a physical business, you might want to have your Google map in there where people can easily get directions. You might want to have a phone number that's going to be clickable on a mobile device, email, or maybe a contact form. You also might want to have a testimonials page, or you can have your testimonials sprinkled throughout your website. Both work. Again, depending on your business, you might decide to do it one way or the other. You'll want a way for people to be able to opt into your email. So maybe that's going to again be on your homepage. Maybe that sits in your footer. Maybe that sits on your contact page. Depending on your business, you might want to have a gallery page where you're going to have photos to show experiences that people are having, show your business, show different types of elements about what you offer. You'll also want a privacy page. This won't necessarily be on your navigation. Typically, a privacy page is going to sit typically in your footer, where people can access that to read your policy on privacy within your website. Again, I have more information about that in your downloadable PDF. And then as an option, you might decide that you want to have a blog. So again, if you're not looking to do regular updates, you're not looking to have any type of FAQs or any other type of information, you might not need a blog. But these are typically going to be the pages that you might consider to have. You might start out with only 3 or 4 of these types of pages and then eventually add on to these as well. In the example here that I'm using here with Cycle City Vancouver, I also just want to show you how quickly they've also just set up their navigation here. They know that the main reasons why people are going to come to their website is based around tours, rentals, repairs, their shop, events, and about. When you click on their tours page, you land on the main tours page where you can see all of the tours that they offer. And at a quick glance, you can see the number of hours that tour is and the cost of the ticket price. So this is just showing how they've quickly laid this out. They didn't put each tour as its own page in their navigation or as a drop down. They made it so people have to land on the main tours page to see everything, and then they can click through. This is just going to help to be able to, again, strengthen their SEO on this tours page. And it's going to make it so Google understands that this page is more important than an individual tour that they have on their website. When it comes to organizing your homepage, This is the main page of entry for most people. So you do want to spend a little bit of time to think about what this page is going to look like and how it's going to function. I love to work with the 3 or 5 idea of a homepage. And what I mean by that is that typically when somebody comes to your website, there is going to be typically 3 to maybe 5 actions, but typically I always use the 3 that they are looking to take on your website. It's either the actions that they are wanting to take or the actions that you are wanting to direct them to. And you want those 3 key things to be quickly and easily accessible on your website, on your homepage. You don't want to list absolutely every single thing that you have to offer. You want to think about what are the most important things that people want to know. I often see people that will put their about page on the right front part of their homepage, and typically that might not be the most important thing that people want to learn about. They might want to see your products and services, your events. They might want to know, do you have availability? They might want to know how to contact you. What are the top 3 things that people are going to come to your website for? Or what are the top 3 things that you think people want to find or you want to direct them to on your homepage? Typically, odd numbers work best. So 3 or 5 are a good number to work with. I wouldn't do anything more than 5, but that's going to be the nice module that you want to work with. So if you're looking to redo your homepage, consider this type of a layout where you're going to direct people to the top 3 things on your website that they're most likely to look for. They can still navigate to every other page by going to your main navigation, but thinking about how am I going to direct people to the key pages that they want to find, thus not making your website a scavenger hunt. Now let's talk a little bit about the most important elements of your website, which is content. Content is literally everything that goes onto your website. It's the text, it's the copy, it's the headlines, it's images, it's video, it's animation, it's all of these different types of things. Content is going to be a really big part in helping to get your audience to really resonate and understand what your business is about and getting them to take action. So when you are looking at content, a great website is going to use content to be able to speak to that target audience. So again, you're thinking about simple language, avoid industry jargon. What are their pains? What are they focused on? What are you wanting to help them with? What are they looking for? You also want this content to help support your business goals. You want to take them through that customer journey. Do they need to be educated a little bit more? Do they need to build that know, like, and trust? Or is it a quick decision where within a few minutes of them going to your website, they're ready to purchase or be able to book or to find a contact information for you? Your content should also help to communicate what it feels like to be at your business or to work directly with you. Whenever possible, create unique, original content. This one is extremely important. You don't want to be copying and pasting content from another page, from another website, and putting that on your website. You want to make this unique. Google penalizes content that is duplicated in multiple places. There is ways around that, but for just the simplicity, avoid doing it and try and make your content original. If you need to kind of take and pull from other content, just really make sure that you're changing at least 60% of the way that it's written. It can have the same context, but you definitely don't want to use the same words and verbiage. And then often, less is more. So don't feel like you need to write a ton of content. You can use visuals and other elements to help you tell that story and just really help to get to the point and help really tell and direct your audience to the actions that they want or the information that they're looking for. So here's a quick example of how you can also be laying out your content. So we have these different things called headers and H1s, H2s, which we'll get into a little bit more as well. But this is a very technical term for basically just creating different types of styles, font sizes, and headers. So you can see from this example here, Welcome Revelstoke, they've done a really good job of taking what looks like a lot of content and really breaking it down into a way that's easy and digestible. They're using different size headers, different colors. They're using lists and bullet points, and they're using colors with links to help you be able to know where to click and be able to really draw your eye through it. Majority of people are scanners, meaning that they're not going to read every single word on a website. And really think about your own experience. You probably don't read everything from top to bottom. Some of you might, but you probably are going to be scanning, finding a piece of content that really speaks to you, and then reading a little bit more. And so that's what you want to think about your content design to have, is that it shouldn't just be a big long essay. Try to use different types of formats to help your content be broken out and chunked in a way that's going to help it to be able to move the eye forward and be able to navigate further. Again, you also want to be thinking about having that most important content up front, and then have supplementary content to be able to help support it even further. So some key things that you want to be thinking about to help you to understand, again, number one, put that most important information first on your pages. This also helps for SEO. Google's going to put that content that's listed on the top of your page as probably the most important versus as you get to the bottom. You want to keep that customer journey in mind, and you want to make sure that you are keeping all of that information top and center for them. Use those chunking bullets, use good white space, use headers, use colors to help make your content scannable so it's easy for people to scan it. And as well, thinking about how it's going to look on a mobile device. Always focus on keeping your content fresh and updated. So reviewing it to make sure prices haven't changed. Old information. If you're seasonal, making sure that information that's listed in the summer, but now you're in winter, gets updated. Using headline bullets to help is going to help you to skim. Images and video, as well as we're going to talk about, is going to be another way to pull your audience in. So using these visuals is a way for you to be able to help people speak to their emotional side of your business. We've often heard the saying that a picture is worth 1,000 words, and it's so true here. It's one thing for you to describe how it is to work with you or to visit your business, but when they can see pictures, it's going to speak to them a whole lot more. So a couple of key things. Number one, avoid stock imagery when possible. I've seen this a couple of times where people have used stock imagery to show pictures of cabins or to show pictures of their space, and then all of a sudden people get there and it's not like that. People are looking to your website and they think it's a reflection of what it's like in real life. So you want your online to reflect your offline. And so you want to be as transparent as possible. If it is a stock image, sometimes even just putting a little tiny watermark on it that says stock image helps people to know that that's not actually what your business looks like. The other thing you're going to want to be thinking about is that different images might need to be different sizes for different functionalities. So you might need to have different size images on desktop versus mobile. You also might need different images if you've got header images versus images in blogs or in other pages. So your web team is going to help you to understand how you want to lay these out, but it's really important to understand that you might need different images. Regardless of what you're using your images for or the type of media, try and reduce your file sizes so you're not using the full file size when you're uploading them. And then every file that you're saving, save it using keywords. So again, if you're using images, instead of image 123, you want to actually save that with keywords of your business. When it comes to video content, video is such a powerful tool. It is the next best thing to being in person. Especially over these last few years with COVID, people have become more and more comfortable with video. If you have an opportunity to put a video on your website, it can help immensely. It doesn't need to be professional. You can do it just with an iPhone or whatever type of mobile device that you have, or if you can work with a team, even better. So experiment with different types of video length, different types, but most importantly, keep it simple. You don't need to do these big, massive multi-minute videos. Even 15 seconds can be really good. If you are using sound, you want your sound quality to be good. People will be okay if it's a little bit blurry or it's maybe not the best video quality, but if they can't hear your videos, that's where it's really going to hurt you. The biggest thing when you are using video is you want to make sure that your video content does not slow down your website. So a little tip here, if you're using video on your website, make sure that you're not uploading the video direct into your website platform and linking it in there. Typically, most website platforms aren't going to be able to host that size of a video, no matter how small it is. you're going to typically want to use a third party. I've included some links in your PDF, but in general, the common ones are going to be YouTube, which you're going to have the YouTube feel for it. So it's a free platform, but it is going to definitely look and feel like YouTube. You can use Vimeo, which you can get a paid version for it, and you can customize it so that it feels like it's fully integrated into your website. Or you can do Amazon hosting, which is one of the examples that we use quite a bit. Again, you can have it feel and look customized as though it's fully part of your website, but it's not going to be hosted on your website and it's not going to slow your website down. When it comes to images, this can really help to further storytell your business. So you want to focus on images that are high quality and focused, but they don't have a huge file size. So instead of using those 1 to 12 megabyte size images, try and get them to being under 500 KB. There are some plugins and some apps you can use on your website to reduce the file size, but they still don't work as well if you were to do the work beforehand. They also are going to help to complement that website design. So make sure that you try and have a very similar look and feel and make sure that they are authentic. If you're using other images from other people, maybe user-generated content or through a third-party website, make sure that you have permission to use them. Make sure that you're using the right sizes and the right formats. And you also want to make sure that you're adding what they call your alt text. And we're going to walk through that in one of our next coming modules here when we talk a little bit about SEO. So coming back to what makes a great website, your website should be functional. Functional means that it's referring to the features that it allows your site visitors to do and to take action. So what is the function that you want your website to have? Should they be able to do a site search on your website, especially if it's a fairly large website? Do you need them to create a form, to purchase online, to do an online tool, to make a reservation? What are the functionalities that you want your website to be able to do? And can they do that quickly and easily? Some things that are the do's and don'ts when it comes to functionality. Number one is that add functionalities that your customers want and need. So if they are needing to know if you've got availability, you want to have that functionality on your website. You also want to minimize the amount of time that customers are spending in your shopping cart or filling out your forms. So really think about designing your forms in a way that, do I really need this information or not? So maybe you just need to have first name and email address is all that you need, but maybe you need to have more information about, the times they're looking to visit you. Maybe you need to know how many people are going to be visiting your business. There's a lot of things that you may or may not need in your forms. You also want to focus on creating an engaging and an efficient user interface, meaning that it's going to work on every type of device and meaning that it's going to be something that's intuitive and simple for them to be able to use. Some of the don'ts that you want to consider is avoid those automatic pop-ups. I know that sometimes they can be very tempting to put in there, but if somebody's visiting your website for the very first time, the last thing you want is to have them land on your homepage, then instantly have a pop-up show up. It's better if you were to have that pop-up show up maybe as they start to get another page into your website, not on your homepage, or when they go to leave your website. Those are some better ways of how you might put pop-ups on. Also, avoid the autoplay video with sound. I have actually had a couple of times where I've gone onto a website and I'm reading the first part of content at the top of a page, not realizing that further down there's a video playing and the sound comes on and it scares me. So really think about that functionality and make sure you're not turning on that sound automatically. Now, this is a really big one. Don't sacrifice user experience for making your website look pretty. There are some horrible looking websites out there that perform extremely well. People will get frustrated if they can't get to the pages that they want and they can't find the information, no matter how pretty your website looks. Make it simple and make it easy. If you need to choose between user experience and beautiful design, user experience should win out every single time because that's how you grow your business. So the other big thing that you want to think about, as I've talked a lot about already, is making sure that your website is intuitive. If people have a really great experience on their website, they will come back to it time and time again. If they need to struggle to find that information and they aren't sure where to go, A, they might just decide to go somewhere else, or B, they might just have to call you and it defeats the purpose of your website. So if you find that you are getting messages on social media, if you're getting messages on your website, or you're getting phone calls about key things about your business, make sure that you have that information on your website, or if it already is and people say that they can't find it, that's telling you that it's maybe not laid out in an intuitive way and that you might need to make some adjustments. Those types of things are going to be really helpful for you to learn and know about so that you can make those changes so your website's going to work the best possibly it can. So that was a lot of information. Let's do a quick review. Number one, don't make your website a scavenger hunt. Really think about your visitors. What is it that they're wanting to find, or what is it that you're wanting them to be able to find on your website? And can you do it in the simplest and easiest way possible? Using your homepage, what are the top 3 actions that people are going to want to take? You want to think about having a great design to really have that purpose and have original content. It should help to lead your visitors through your website. Focus on that content being scannable so that it's easy for people to navigate, find that information, just quickly scan with their eyes and then stop and read more if they need to. Use imagery as a way to tell that story and draw people into your content. And most importantly, focus on the usability and the functionality of your website. Don't sacrifice the functionality and usability for making your website look pretty. If it looks pretty, but nobody can do anything on it, it's not going to help you in the long run. So I hope you found this module helpful, and we'll see you on the next module.